Hello, folks. Have you ever written a book? I'm sure some of you had, or you wanted to. Maybe you still want to. On some subject dear to you. Well, back in 1992, I wrote a book. It's called Fort Uncompahgre. I sold about 800 copies of it. It was not a moneymaker, but it was something that I felt like doing to capture information and history. The book is based on a historical character named Antoine Robidoux. I found myself living in Delta, Colorado, and I knew there had been a fur trader's fort there. And I got interested in it. And someday maybe more information has become available. I may write the book again, and it'd be more thorough, the information about this character, with another attempt. But for now, since this is one of about 3 or 4 copies that are still left of the book, and I have no records. This book was originally written on floppy disks, which are long gone. So I want to read you the book. I think oral book reading is sort of a lost art. Now a lot of the things that we hear online have AI voices. They're not real people. I'm really interested in this. When I was in the 2nd grade in school, the most precious 20 minutes of our school day was our teacher reading to us, reading to my class, from children's books series, the BOXCAR Children. I particularly remember something about a real human voice conveying an idea in a story to you is very historic, very real. So in a series of chapters, I'm going to be reading this book that I wrote about this historical character, Antoine Robidoux. He's a real person. There's real research in my writings. The writing, however, is high school grade writing. I had no formal education after high school in literature. I had good high school teaching. It was good enough. My writing sense is much improved. There's a lot more to learn and ways to learn it. But for now, I hope you'll enjoy my story. Tonight I'm going to read the prologue, and that will be the name of this episode, is Prologue to the book Fort Uncompahgre. Fort Uncompahgre by William McCrae Bailey. It was published by the Silverton Standard and Miner newspaper in Silverton, Colorado in 1990. Preface. And here is a picture, the only known picture of the character Antoine Robidoux. As a boy growing up in Delta County, Colorado, I was fortunate to daily experience life in the Rocky Mountains. At an early age, I was internally driven to a pastime, to the bow and arrow. I had an undying fascination with the American Indian. In my educational years, there wasn't a book or volume in the school libraries about Indians that I left unread. This interest is still strong, but has moved to a somewhat different aspect of the same time in history. This change may have been shaped by a rifle given to me by my father as a present. It was a black powder gun, similar to those that were used by the mountain men. Time spent in the mountains helping my father in his outfitting business and hunting with this gun caused a mountain man to emerge. It is hard to say what forces drive a person, but I found my niche in history, 150 years too late. My association with the American Mountain Men, an organization dedicated to accurately preserving and portraying the era of the Rocky Mountain fur trade, has directed my energies into further study and practice. I've waded in freezing streams to catch beaver, learned to travel cross-country on horseback and with only the things that would have been available to the mountain men. Brain-tanned deer skins and moccasins are my clothing. Growing up around Delta, Colorado, I knew by local legend that a fur trader named Robidoux had built a fort here. I had been away and moved back here in 1987. There was a need for me to know more about this man and his fort. In the search for information, I learned that very little was known. Early in 1988, I walked into the public library and requested a book on the subject of the Robidoux Fort. I got a friendly chuckle from the librarian. She told me that no book had been written concerning the Robidoux forts and that it would sure be nice if someone could do that. That day I walked out with the idea that I would attempt this feat. I accepted the challenge. Through gathering research material, I learned that a book had been written about Antoine Robidoux in 1953. It was a private publication of only 450 copies and difficult to obtain. Another book was written in 1924 by a downline Robidoux relative, of which there may be no more than 10 existing copies. The story to be told here is important to the history of the fur trade west of the Continental Divide and fills an empty space in the many volumes written about the American fur trade. Next episode will be Chapter 1. I do want to tell you that the research for this book did ultimately lead to the beginning of my career as a builder and restorer of historical buildings. It worked out through some diligence and effort of my own, extreme effort, that I was able to reconstruct a replica of Antoine Robidoux's Fort Uncompahgre at Delta, Colorado. The project was completed in 1989 and has operated as a full-scale, accurate living history museum to this very day in 2026. Of that, I'm very proud. This is what research and writing can lead to. I'll see you at Chapter 1. Please subscribe and follow Bill's Historical West. Thank you.